Good evening. It is Monday, February the 8th. The time is 6:35 p.m. and I would like to call to order this meeting of the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees. Ms. Woods, was the meeting properly posted?
Yes.
And we do not yet have a quorum, but we plan to establish a quorum before we take any action this evening. So we'll move to item number 2, opening exercises.
President Coffey, school board members, Mr. O'Brien. The opening exercises for the February 8th, 2016 board meeting will be presented by students from Robert E. Lee High School. We will begin the opening ceremonies with the prayer led by Al Richard. Everyone please rise.
Please bow with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today and the many blessings you display upon us. We thank you for the opportunity to meet tonight as we discuss the needs of our students and ask your guidance in our work. We ask a special blessing this evening for the family of Kylie Williams, the Bowie kindergartner who you call to your side this weekend. Please give that family peace during this difficult time. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
The pledges will be led by Joshua Hawkless and Hillary Keneally.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. The following students will be performing Shepherd's Hay by Perry Granger. We have Omar Barragon, Edna Mendez, Emmanuel Reina, Mariana Rodriguez, and Genesis Torres.
Well, that was delightful. We thank you all. If your parents are here, if parents of these students are here, would you please stand, or any other family members? We thank you very much.
The following choir students will perform Doa Nobis Pacem by Palestrina. We have Ian Berriman, Jonas Castro, Alexis Chavez, Kalima Fry, Marilena Hernandez, Devin Jones, Alexis Cater, Socrates Mojica Jr., Cameron Plant, Nicole Perot, Jose Pulido Chavez, Omar Ramos, James Rice, Sofia Rios, Felisa Sanchez, Ashley Serna, Julia Trujillo, and Robert Yado.
Very beautiful.
These students are under the direction of Stefan Ice and Robert Poulin and Michael Grauvogel and Principal Joseph Farnsworth.
We thank you very much. If there are parents of these students here, could we recognize you as well? We thank you.
Great job.
Great job.
Great job.
Attendance is something that we are celebrating here in the district. We know that this provides funding from the state but it also benefits our students to receive the instruction that they need. Each 6 weeks, an attendance report is generated to identify the attendance percentage for each campus. A campus from each level, elementary, junior school, and high school, is recognized as having the top attendance for the district. The campuses with the best attendance percentage for the third 6 weeks are at the elementary, Victoria Walker with 97.16%, and representing Victoria Walker are our assistant principal, Kurt David, and students McKenna Land, Nayeli Moreno, and Nicholas Moreno. If you'll come on up. Our junior school for the third 6 weeks in a row is George H. Gentry Junior School with 96.61% attendance, and representing Gentry are Principal Morel Stewart and students Matthew Othament, Paul Castellanos, Priya Desai, and Johan Matthew. And our third 6 weeks in a row for high school is Goose Creek Memorial High School with 93.52%, representing GCM, our Dean of Instruction, Christy Spites, and students Alondra Garza, Mayunique Harris, and August Wojtek. The Goose Creek CISD FFA organizations will celebrate FFA Week February 20th through the 27th. This year's theme is Amplify, and it embraces more than 85 years of FFA traditions while looking forward to the organization's future. Designated as National FFA Week in 1947, the week of George Washington's birthday, and runs from Saturday to Saturday, FFA Week gives FFA members an opportunity to educate the public about agriculture. During the week, chapters conduct a variety of activities to help others in their school and community learn about FFA. And our campuses are no exception. They've got several activities and events that'll be going on at their schools. Goose Creek CISD has 4 active FFA chapters. We have a junior school chapter at Baytown. We've got Robert E. Lee High School, Ross S. Sterling High School, and Goose Creek Memorial High School. To celebrate FFA Week, Patricia Hollis, one of our sponsors at Lee High School, has worked with the City of Baytown for a proclamation for FFA Week in Baytown. Presenting the proclamation is City Councilman Terry Sane.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gorte. This is a privilege to get to be here tonight to do this. I was asked if I did very many of these, and I said only when I got a chance. The mayor was out of town, and but this means a lot to the city to show our partnership with the school and recognize the activities FFA. I was sharing with Mr. O'Brien earlier. I was in FFA when I was in high school, and I think that may have, for some of those of us in elected positions, I think that may have been our first exposure to politics wading out through the barnyard. So that was probably what kind of led some of us into being in politics. But I raised show steers when I was in high school, and that was I think that's what really gave me the true feel of commitment and responsibility. As I was sharing, on those cold mornings, I grew up in North Texas, up north of Fort Worth, and on those cold mornings, that calf was depending on me to get out there and break that water for him to, because it'd freeze over pretty easy up in Jacksboro. So I'd have to get out there and break that water on those cold mornings for him to be able to get a drink. So that really did kind of lead me to appreciate and know responsibility other than just myself getting up. So I'd like to read this. Whereas the future farmers of America and agriculture education provide a strong foundation for the youth of Baytown and the future of food, fiber, and natural resources systems in America, and whereas FFA promotes citizenship, volunteerism, patriotism, and cooperation, as we're hearing about the other activities that's taking place through the school. Now I, therefore, Terry Sane, as Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Baytown, do hereby proclaim February 20th through 27th, 2016 as Future Farmers of America Week in Baytown, and encourage our citizens to recognize and support the efforts of FFA education and participants working together to secure a brighter future for the youth of our community. So thank you all very much for your participation in FFA, and I know this will be a rewarding experience later on for you.
If we can have our students come up from FFA, our sponsors, our CT director, and let's get a picture with our board president and superintendent. And if you'll go up, Mr. Sane.
Your wind is there. All right, everybody look at me. Just make sure we see everybody. Scoot that way a little bit. That's your window. Look through your windows. If you can't see if you can't see me through your window, which you can't, can you? Back up just a little bit, Renee. Okay, now she needs to back up. All right, good deal. All right, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. Good. Y'all smiling? Yeah. Stand on your tippy toes back there, right? There you go. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Stand up, Jay. There you go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Beautifulness. All right. Thank y'all very much. Late, Mom. Late, Mom. Go back. I got it.
Mom's faster than you think.
Thank you, Dr. Dorte. I certainly appreciate it, and we appreciate all the student recognition we've had this evening. While we're still on recognitions and acknowledgments, we hired a new principal for Robert E. Lee High School last board meeting, and I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize him here this evening. He's here with us, Dr. Joseph Farnsworth. Please stand up and take a bow. So clearly you see some of the talent coming out of the students that will be underneath your roof. So we look forward to working with you at district office. I know you're looking forward to working with the kids. I think you arrived Friday, was it, this past week? And you've had a full day under your belt today. So welcome to the district. We're happy for you to be here. All right.
Thank you. Mr. Laredo has arrived, so Ms. Woods, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum.
Okay. We'll move forward. Do we have anyone sign up for citizens' participation? Okay, then the next item is approval of minutes. We have approval of minutes of the December 21st meeting. I know that was a meeting where there were a few of us who could attend. Let me look at them real quickly and see if we can vote on those tonight.
3 of us.
Copy,
1, 2,
charge.
all 4 of us.
Okay, yes.
We have 4 of us.
Okay, so
Yes.
let's vote first on the December 21st special meeting minutes.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion from Mr. Laredo, a second from Mr. Richard. Any discussion on the December 21st meeting minutes? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. 4, none against. That motion passes. Let's go to the January 6th meeting.
We're good.
And let's take a look also at the January 11th meeting and see if we can do both together or not. Looks like we can, so we can do these two together.
I'd like to move for approval on both January 6th and January 11th meeting.
Second.
Got a motion from Mr. Laredo, a second from Mr. Richard. Any discussion? This is on both the January 6th and January 11th meeting. If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? That motion passes 4-0, and we'll move to action items.
All right. With that note, I would just want to notate that on we did pull United Way recognitions. We'll be doing them at a future board meeting. And also under consideration of consent agenda item, I'd like to pull item number 1, as we're not completely prepared to present that to you this evening. But beyond that, I'll go to item number 2 on the consent agenda, first reading of revised board policy EIA local, grading progress reports to parents. Number 3, purchase of 20 school buses and acceptance of HGAC Clean Air Grant. Number 4, 2016-17 budget calendar in process. Number 5, interlocal contract renewal for property tax collection services. Number 6, second option to extend competitive seal proposal, CSP, for fencing materials installation and related items. Number 7, tax refunds. Number 8, cancel the March 14th, 2016 regular school board meeting in lieu of spring break.
Does anyone want to pull any of items 2 through 8?
I'd like to move for approval on consent agenda, all items.
I will second.
So we have a motion from Mr. Laredo and a second from Mr. Richard to approve consent agenda items 2 through 8. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? That motion passes 4-0. We go to item B.
Come on.
All right, item B, we have a resolution nominating candidate for vacant position to the Board of Directors of the Harris County Appraisal District.
I move that we as a board nominate for the vacant position of the Board of Directors of the Harris County Appraisal District, Mr. Peter Poppy of Baytown, Texas.
Second.
Got a motion from Mr. Richard, a second from Mr. Laredo. Is there any discussion?
I do have a board nomination form signed off on and my letter of recommendation as well.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? That motion passes 4-0. Next item is consideration of report on board training hours. Let me get to that spot on the agenda, on the board packet. And I have to read into the Minutes of this meeting, once again, as I did in December, are board training hours, which probably have not changed much. Under Tier 1 hours, I have 2.25, Ms. Cockrell has 3, Mr. Laredo has 2, Mr. Poppy has 3, Mr. Richard has 3, Mr. Sampson has 2, and Ms. Woods has 3. And for newly elected board members, 3 hours are required and 2 are required for continuing board members. Under Tier 2 hours, this is team building, 3 to 6 hours are required. The entire board, Coffey, Cockrell, Laredo, Poppy, Richard, Sampson, and Woods, all have 3 hours. Under Tier 3 hours, continuing education, 10 hours are required for new board members, 5 hours for continuing board members. I have 22.75. Ms. Cockrell has 15.5. Mr. Laredo has 12. Mr. Poppy 17.75. Mr. Richard 10. Mr. Sampson 10.75. Ms. Woods 16.25. So the totals are: I have 28. Gigi Cockrell has 21.5. Mr. Laredo has 17. Mr. Poppy has 23.75. Mr. Richard 16. Mr. Sampson 15.75. And Ms. Woods 22.25. We are a well-trained board. Okay, we move to future board agenda items, board training, and board meetings. Do we have any future board agenda items?
Yes, ma'am. I would once again like us to put BBB local and BBB legal as a discussion item at a future board meeting. This policy is still, according to the website that I checked today, it's still not in compatibility, legal and local, or off on the wording. And it's about the frequency of elections and the length of terms of the board members. Okay. I'd like to have a board discussion about that.
Any other future board agenda items? We've got board training possibilities in April, but nothing, I don't think, any sooner than that. Board meetings. We, tonight, you all have received a packet that is information that you'll need for evaluating the superintendent for a formative evaluation. And let's see. We've got our board goals and form from TASB that we'll use for evaluation, all in this packet. I know it'll take a little while for everyone to have an opportunity to look at this and complete the evaluation, but ideally, I would like us to have a meeting prior to our next regularly scheduled board meeting to meet together to go over the evaluation so that we can present this to Mr. O'Brien at our next regular board meeting. But if that doesn't work, if we can't come up with a date, then we could do this as part of our closed session at the next board meeting and present it at the following board meeting. So take a look at your calendars and see if we can come up with a date that would work.
Our next regular meeting's on the 22nd, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So is there a date next week that would work for anyone?
I cannot be here Tuesday or Wednesday,
Okay.
nor Monday, but that's a holiday.
Okay, so Thursday the 18th.
That is the earliest I could meet.
I will not be here, but
Which
I may not
day is
be
You
that?
don't need to be
Thursday
for
the
that.
18th is the earliest I can
I
meet.
won't be around. I have a conference afternoon.
Okay.
I can meet Monday.
But Mr. Richard, you can't meet Monday.
I cannot.
Okay, why don't we, if that's the case, why don't we just plan to do this at our next regular board meeting during closed session? And it may take a while, so plan on it taking a while at that meeting. And then if we want, we can schedule a special meeting for presenting our results to Mr. O'Brien, or we can wait until our first regular board meeting in March, whatever we decide at that point.
So at that meeting, we'll have our part filled out.
Right.
Okay.
And what we'll do is we'll just go over each of the steps of the evaluation and kind of tally what our results are so that I can compile that to present to Mr. O'Brien.
Okay.
Is that okay with all of you? Okay, so we'll then no special meeting. We'll just do that on the 22nd.
Okay. Ms. Coffey, I do have one more item. I know last week, Thursday, we received the updated information regarding the rezoning of the high schools from Mr. Walterscheid. Nice job, Mr. Walterscheid. Thank you very
We
much for
actually
getting
have
that.
those manuals in the back.
Right, for those of us who weren't here last Thursday.
Right.
I was wondering, when are we going to discuss that again, considering we have a meeting on the 22nd, and then we don't meet again until the 28th of March? And I don't know if that topic should wait that long to be discussed.
Do we want to put it on the 22nd as a discussion item again?
That's a pretty packed agenda if we're going to do the if we're going to do the evaluation. It's going to
Right.
be a long meeting.
Well, what Mr. Burchard is talking about is a folder that you can take with you for homework and review and have all your study done prior to that meeting if you did want to include it in that meeting. Otherwise, March would be the next meeting, unless we want to have a call meeting.
What's your preference, Mr. Richard or Mr. Loretta?
Are we going to vote on that night or continue our discussion?
I think we're just discussing at that point.
Then it could be a workshop then, instead of a meeting.
Yes.
Would it be possible for us to consider meeting on the first Monday of March, which is March 7th, since we were scheduled for the 14th, it's a holiday, we won't be here, but could we possibly have a workshop on the night of the 7th to discuss the new information that we have been given?
Doesn't look good for you.
Memorial's playing baseball at Minute Maid.
We can't count on your presence here that night. I take that.
You could, if necessary, absolutely. Just saying.
What about the Wednesday night of that week?
The 9th?
I don't think Ms. Woods likes Wednesday night workshops, and I think we need to respect that.
Yeah, you have to be flexible, though. Mr. Poppy may not be here those days either.
So,
I could do it any other day that week,
any other day then?
except for Friday, the 11th, but
So you could do any day but what?
Friday.
But Friday. So 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th, any of those days.
I'm available the 10th for sure, and on Tuesday the 8th also.
Tuesday the 8th, I'm not available. But any
Thursday
other
is
night.
the one that has the least conflict with
Conflict.
school activities.
Okay.
But
Thursday the 10th, how does that look? Mr. Richard?
I can be here.
Okay, Mr. Laredo, you said that works for you?
I'll be here.
And Ms. Woods? Okay, we need a motion on that.
I'd like to make a motion that we have a workshop on Thursday, March 10th, to discuss high school rezoning.
Do we have a second? Okay, I've got a motion from Mr. Richard, a second from Ms. Woods. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Do we need closed session this evening?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, then at this point, we will move into closed session. The board will now recess into a closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act: 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, and 551.074. The no action will be taken while the board is in closed meeting. Our board will reconvene into open session. No action was taken while we were in closed session. Next item on the agenda is item G, consideration of personnel.
Recommend that the board approve the teacher elections, Kaylee Jagnanen and Ronald Wells, both teachers at Horace Mann Jr. Accept the resignations of Conrad Abshire, Marisol Aranda, Allison Evans.
Move approval of elections and resignations as stated.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion from Mr. Richard, a second from Ms. Woods. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion passes 4-0.
I have another election for speech language pathologist, Taylor Lauderdale, counselor, Laura Hernandez, high school assistant principal, Ray Levan, and Jennifer Fierro.
Mr. O'Brien, clarification on the speech therapist. She's a speech therapist pathologist assistant.
Thank you very much for catching that.
Move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a motion from Mr. Richard, a second from Mr. Laredo to approve the hiring of a speech-language pathologist assistant, high school counselor, and high school assistant principals. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? That motion passes 4-0, and our meeting is adjourned at 7:42.